Okay, some Latin language. Then, at that time, the archons at Athens desisted to be perpetual. This happened when the last was Achaeon. And they began to be created then for a 10-year period, so they weren't perpetual anymore, which custom remained for 70 years. And then the Republic was commissioned with magistrates annually. From these who were in charge for 10 years, the first was Charops and the last was Iraxius, and the first from the annual ones was Creon. 4. The sixth Olympiad, after 22 years from which it had been constituted or instituted, the same word for constituted, you have the Constitution of America, etc. When things are founded, they're constituted. So Romulus, the son of Mars, at this sixth Olympiad, he was a revenger for the injuries of his grandfather. Rome city he founded in the Palatine Hill during this festival of the Paralybus. From which time to your consulship there was 781 years. This act was after Troy was captured, 437 years. Romulus Gesser did this with the legions helping of his grandfather Latinus. For to these, Libenta, gladly or freely, to these who've produced or proffered this history, I will accessorim, means to go to or to add to. So he's going to add himself gladly to these people who've produced this history, when otherwise to firm a new city in such a close vicinity with the Vean people and other people, the Etruscans and the Sabines, this would have scarcely have been able to be done by their hands, because they were pastoral people and they were imbello, which means weak. Actually, technically means not warlike. Although with an asylum made, people increased, and it was between two groves or hills here. 6. Hic, 100 men were elected or chosen, and they were called patres, fathers. They were of making public plans, making public administrations, etc. In stage takes the genitive, just means like or just as. So they were just as fathers, and they did the public planning. The origin of the name of the patricians, etc. Now the rape or rapture of the Sabine girls, here a great part of the book is perdita, is lost. 9. The enemies feared something. It's too hard to tell from the lacuna there anyway. Now there was a 2-year period, a biennial period. Something happened to such an extent that there was various fortunes conflicted with the consuls. Now apparently, according to the Loeb, this was 171 BC. The Romans had declared war on Persis, king of Macedonia. So this Macedonian king's having some conflicts with the consuls. So that, to such an extent they conflicted that generally he had been superior, and a greater part of Greece had led into his society, his alliances. While the Rhodians also, before, had been very loyal to the Romans, then they had some dubious loyalty. They were watching, more prone to the fortune of the king's parts, or the king's side, they seemed to be doing. And King Eumenes in this war was in the middle ground, or on the fence, in his mind. Nor the initiatives of his brother, the things began by his brother, or neither did he respond with his usual habitual ways. 3. Then the Senate and the populace Romani did something with this guy here, L. Aemilius Paulum, who had been a praetor and a consul and had triumphed. He was a man in such lauds, he was able to be understood, his virtues and valour was able to be understood. So we've got tandem and quantum, basically, how much and how great he was. He was created consul. He was the son of Paulus, who at the Battle of Cannae, Tam and Quam, usually means equally as much. So he bravely met his death in that place, as he had been tergiversando, which is a bit wobbling or distrustful of entering this pernicious fight of the Republic. Okay, daily dictionary time. Tergiversando, reluctantly, really. It's sort of a bit hesitant. And if I go back to what I just set up here, the Paralis was of the goddess Pale. Remember there was a festival to a goddess where something was found? That was the god Pale, goddess. Okay, back to our plot. He did something to Persa, the other guy, in a huge battle at a city named Pydna in Macedonia. He routed Persa. And this guy fled. He spoiled the camp, deleted his forces, with his forces deleted, left him destitute of all hope, and forced him to profugere from Macedonia. Then he left there. He fled into an island called Samothrace. And as is dative to the temple and religion, he entrusted himself as a supplicant. To him, the praetor Octavius, who was in charge of the fleet, he prevented it here. He reached him, got to him, and with reasoning more than with force, he persuaded Ut that he should commit himself, his say, to trust in the Romans or come into their command. Thus Paulus, the Maximus, and the most nobilious king he led in triumph. Paulus led off the king. In which year also there was the praetor of the naval fleets Octavius, and Anicus did something. The king of the race of the Illyrians celebrated a triumph before chariots, basically. And that's it.